Hello, hi, welcome to episode 27 of the Personal Project Podcast. If you're new to me, welcome. I am an artist. My name is Katie, and I'm a life coach. I coach artists on procrastination. I struggled so much with self loathing, anxiety, depression, just a lot of stuff that kept me from loving my work and avoiding my work as much as possible and really struggled with procrastination. But now I love my work to bits and I help other artists do that same thing. So every week I come on here though, and this is more of a personal podcast where I just share my biggest learning from last week, like my own self-development. And this is supposed to be a super casual conversation with me where I share my failures, struggles, successes, and overall humanness. I experimented with the different intros and outros, but I think I kind of just like the phone call with a friend type feel. So it's just hey, how are ya? So that's what I'm about. Anyway, so this is like a weekly diary for me. So please do not get overwhelmed by the stuff that I share here. I'm thinking about a particular person. You know who you are. This is really not a reason to be overwhelmed. It's just my thoughts out loud. And to be honest, I hope this helps a lot of people, but honestly, me kind of reflecting on what I learned last week and having to say it out loud or write it down and really articulate it is actually helping me a lot, because then I really make myself, right, learn from it. So if that's one takeaway for you, you could try that, right? What is one thing I learned from last week? That's really it. And oh my God, learning how to learn is probably one of the best things that I've helped myself with. It's just every single time something happens, I just always ask myself, what did I learn from this? So, okay, so let's get into what I actually really learned this week. What I really learned is about appropriate discomfort. I know, kind of weird, discomfort that is appropriate. Yes. There is such a thing, because pursuing a goal, working on your mindset, drawing something without reference, studying, doing that thing that you've been wanting to do, that personal comic, that personal graphic novel, that illustration that you think oh God, that's going to be a lot of references I need to gather. That's a lot of studying that is required for that. These are all super uncomfortable things to do that are so worth doing and very appropriate, right? There's two kinds of discomfort is what I'm really understanding. There's the discomfort because of an unsupervised mind, where, your lizard brain, which our lizard brain, that's the really, really old part of our brain that only cares about three things: avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, and conserving energy, right? And if we are really letting that lizard brain run the show, it's essentially always avoiding pain, meaning not working, right? Or not doing the things that are worth doing. Seeking pleasure, so just always looking to do whatever is the easiest and false pleasurable thing right now. And conserving energy. So, and what's the most efficient thing to do is pretty much do nothing, or do whatever your mind is already good at. And for me, that's overworking. And essentially, this part of the brain is so driven by fear and scarcity, right? This motivational triad thing, it works really well because it's all about fear, about not enough, right? And again, that's so useful back in the day when it was so easy to die, when dying was so likely. But not so much now, right? And that kind of discomfort, it feels super chaotic. It feels really out of control. It feels frustrating, confusing, baffling. You feel a little bit crazy, right? You feel a little bit like you don't have authority of your mind. You're asking, at least for me, in that part of my life, it's a lot of why did I do that, right? Why did I freaking do that? So it's you're constantly playing catch up or cleaning up after somebody else's mess. It's unpredictable and it's exhausting. So there's that discomfort. And then there's the other kind of discomfort, the discomfort from sitting down at your desk, following through on your plan, even though Shane Dawson is about to release another conspiracy theory video, right? And then you want to watch and catch up on all his videos before that. There's the discomfort of being deliberate with your time and planning out your week, even though your brain is like, oh my God, can't you see we're in a rush to success? Why are we planning? We could be finished with everything by now. Then there's the discomfort of sharing stuff with people, right? Sharing your journey, the stuff you're really struggling with, and all your imperfections, and the sketch that didn't turn out the way you really wanted. Finally, trying on that, project, risking failure because you're like, I had this dream idea. I thought it was a really good idea, and I totally botched it. Like, I wish I did things differently. This discomfort is appropriate discomfort, but they can be kind of hard to distinguish sometimes. In my pursuit last week, I talked about how I'm still very committed to stopping using hustle as a status symbol. I was trying to avoid the first kind of discomfort, right? Like I was really trying to I don't want to be uncomfortable where I'm exhausted in the bad way, like the overwork discomfort, the going to work for 12-hour days and have zero social life discomfort. So, okay, cool. I did that. I was working on that last week, but then I realized I was also avoiding appropriate discomfort. Like all discomfort pretty much went out the window, mostly, not all. But I was feeling pretty comfortable last week. I was feeling better than ever. I was also kind of focusing more on that social life aspect, which was a good time, and I'm glad I did that because, one, I really gained the belief that I can make friends very easily. I think making friends, it's possible. And that was something I was really scared of. I moved to a new place. I'm, scared of being lonely, all that kind of stuff. But so that was a belief that I gained, and I don't feel as fear-based or scarce around that. But the other thing that I learned too is that it's not something that I really wanted. I really missed the thrill of being committed to my business, and I missed drawing, I missed painting. I just wanted to paint. And I also want to constrain my friendships because I really want to make sure that I surround myself with people who really add to my life, my passion, and my dreams. Because one of the things I hear is that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I really, really pursued this last year that I wanted to be the most I wanted to be the most above average, I guess. I wanted to be in such a good state that when people are around me, they are inspired, right? But I don't want to always do that. I would love to have some friends who really inspire me too, right? I want to be surrounded by that as well. So yes, that's something that I really learned, that I would like to constrain that friendship. And I thought feeling that good last week was going to bring me all this good stuff in my life, right? Because I want to take action from a good place, right? I want to take action from that abundant place. But nope, not this week. I mean, it wasn't anything horrible, just a few little disappointing things happened. And I'm a firm believer though, that there is always something to learn from the negative. I always want to take responsibility on my part because that gives me back all of my power. And so I knew there was something, right, to learn here. But I wasn't quite sure what until I listened to a coaching call from my school where a coach was giving advice about growing her business. And her first lesson is expect fear and doubt. And I knew this, right? I know this. I teach this all this time. But I really then realized in this moment, that was such a good reminder that I didn't feel fear and doubt all that much last week. It's not that I didn't do anything, right? I just did a lot of things that was a bit more comfortable rather than the stuff that really stretched me. And this is where I really now understand that teaching that the point is not to be happy all the time in our lives. We don't actually want to be happy all the time. So I was stopping hustle as a status symbol and trying to feel great and comfortable all the time. The other day, I was on this breakthrough call And which, by the way, I'm gonna start limiting how many I do per week. I had something like 45 calls in December and November, which is amazing, but I need to start limiting. So if you want free personalized one-on-one help, don't wait too long because I'm gonna start capping it this week. Anyway, so I was on a breakthrough call with one of my lovely listeners, where she was telling me that she doesn't know if she'll ever have the ability to complete her personal project. She was just full of doubt about her possibilities as an artist. And I explained to her that this doubt that she has right now is actually a good thing. It doesn't mean don't pursue this. It actually means that this is the perfect goal for her to grow. This is exactly what she needs. And so don't be afraid of the doubt, right? The doubt doesn't mean something's gone completely wrong. It doesn't mean anything about you as an artist. It just means that you have a thought that creates the feeling of doubt. That's really all that is. And in fact, not only that, you know then exactly what thought and feeling to overcome. Anyway, but I was not taking that advice myself. Feeling my doubt and following through on a plan anyway is not comfortable. Feeling committed is not comfortable. Feeling responsible is not comfortable. Feeling courage is not comfortable. I wasn't feeling these that much last week. Trying to avoid all discomfort kept me from self-coaching and planning, which is like two things that I feel like have skyrocketed when it comes to like my mental health, productivity, and just love of the work. But that's really what I learned last week. You know, the difference between the two discomforts. It's the difference between the discomfort of working on a sketch that you're just so unsure if it will look good, but you're doing it anyway, right? Like you're pursuing it. You're still like, because faith, guys, the feeling of faith isn't always comfortable, right? You're not always going to be super positive. Like you have this thought of like, I can make this work. I know I can make this work. But like that is uncomfortable. There's another thought somewhere in there too that's kind of being like, okay, but it might not. But you're like, nope, I'm going to keep going anyway. So there's that discomfort between the discomfort of the guilt and regret and the shame, and then when you procrastinate, right? And then all the annoying stuff that you have to deal with of like, oh, now I gotta like reschedule and I have to like refigure things out, or like, having work pile up and then feel the feeling of like, oh my God, I didn't do anything this day. So then now I'm gonna have to do like twice the amount of work the next day. So that's the difference, right? Those are two kinds of discomfort, and it is kind of hard, at least right now. It was a little bit confusing to kind of like see the difference. They're both super uncomfortable, but might as well pick the one that gives you the result that you want, right? But so yeah, that's something that then I need to work on. Like for example, what I want to work on is like I want to like commit to my free time, right? I'm going to work a certain amount of hours, but I want to be efficient during those hours and then commit to having free time. So I'm still committed to stopping hustle as a status symbol thing, as in like I don't want to work 12 hours. I want to work like, for example, 8 hours a day or something like that, right? Like the typical 40-hour a week thing. But actually, right, be as efficient as possible. Right now, it's just so comfortable to be like, oh, I have free time. Then, I can take my time on this task that I'm doing because it can just eat into my free time and all that stuff. And that is not that is what I mean by like, I was a little comfortable last week, But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you'd like that free personalized one-on-one help from me, go to the description, the link in the description, and that is how you can book a free breakthrough call. And like I said, I am going to start capping it this week, so don't wait too long, okay? Just so that you can get your spot this week. Okay, bye!